We welcome our international audience, our audience through Big Pond Sport, and of course on 7 Network right around Australia. This is the most crucial qualifying session of the year. We've had a few, but this is the one.
Yes, it is, and we've said it a couple of times during the year because at each point of reference it's been a true statement, but I think you can really underline it and make it bold for this weekend. The order of the way these fellas line up is really going to dictate the weekend, and here's the racetrack that they will ply their trade on. And Phillip Island is one of the great road racing tracks of the universe. It's a beautiful track. It's fast, it's open, it's flowing. Interestingly, because of the nature of this 10-turn track, you only use just a little under 40% of 100% throttle of the lap. Sectors there, turn 3 is where sector 1 ends. We'll be referencing that during qualifying. The second sector ends at the top of Lukey Heights, and that final green sector down to the flag. And just going back to that point, Matty, that 38.7% as a matter of fact of the lap at 100% throttle tells you that you dance the car a lot on the throttle around these huge, long, medium to high speed curves. You can see Bass Strait there to the south. Weather is always a big factor at this racetrack. Southerly breeze yesterday, started gentle, picked up, had an effect on the balance of the cars late in the day. They're talking about thunderstorms tomorrow. If we had a wet or a wet dry race number 3, there's a curveball for you.
225th and final V8 Supercar Championship start for John Bowe, the 53-year-old Tasmanian, 1995 series winner. What a great record he's had, and it's been a bit of a teary week for JB. It's not over yet. We'll be tracking his progress, not to mention the progress of car 16 in particular, car 888, car 88 and car 1 there. That's how they finish practice. As we said at the top of the show, Mark Winterbottom still has a role to play in this championship, and so too his teammate Stephen Richards, because FPR have been so strong. They've been the meat in the sandwich over the last couple of rounds, and we expect them, pit lane expects them, to be right amongst it.
Stephen Johnson had a bit of an off on his good set of tyres down there in 25th. A couple of other people who had issues. Wiring loom problems for Paul Morris kept him stranded and lost a lot of time in the session. That's the reason why he was down the order. Craig Lowndes, a bit of understeer with that car. Here's Garth Tander, pretty happy with things. He made a small mistake on his best set of tyres, gave what he feels to be a little bit of time away to Mark Winterbottom, but otherwise not a bad start to the weekend.
Talked about weather before, Neil. It's starting to shape up as a pretty warm one out here. It's now 23 degrees. Track temperature is 27. That's about 5 degrees cooler than it was yesterday, so that'll be ever-changing as it starts to warm up through these qualifying legs today. That breeze you spoke about coming from the south, it picked up yesterday afternoon. I reckon it's a little stronger already. That might affect them down the main straight.
Guys, a couple of changes today. James Courtney didn't finish as well as he would have liked yesterday. Had rear shock problems. They've worked on that overnight and replaced the shock. He's feeling a lot more comfortable today. And the big thing today in qualifying is the 2007 Pole Award. Now, that's a battle in 2 between Mark Winterbottom and Garth Tander at the moment. Basically, whoever gets ahead today, whoever wins it today, if it's one of those two, will take the Pole Award for 2000. If neither of them win it today, then on countback, Garth Tander is the winner.
The other bloke that's mixed up in that is Todd Kelly, and he did unbelievably well here last year. He was the round winner, and he was fast yesterday. He was position 3, as you saw on the graphic a few moments ago. So there's quite a number of battles. There's the teams battle between Toll HSV dealer team, between Team Vodafone, 888, the manufacturers championship between Holden and Ford, and of course the championship for the drivers that's got a lot of focus on it. Win Cup, incidentally, has gone to the top of the order with a 1:35.0. They'll all be learning about that wind that Daniel spoke about a few moments ago and what effects it has on this racetrack.
There's also the silly season at play too for the other guys who are not in the championship picture, who some are fighting for their careers, some are fighting for spots.
Some are just fighting.
Some are just fighting.
They like it.
So 1:35.018, the fastest time by Jamie Whincup. Garth Tander's 1:35.13 is the second quickest, and he's got a green box by the 0.3 of a second over the first sector.
Great corner. We commonly refer to it as Hayshed turn 6, and in the old days with slightly different configuration with the cars, you could get through there flat. Now you're just able to do it on a green tyre if you're lucky and the car rides well and is well balanced. Garth Tander's sector splits to turn 2. still show him up more than a tenth of a second. Last two corners, some people choose to run it in fourth, some grab fifth just at the turn in. Long loads here, Matthew. Right-hand side of the car takes big punishment. If you've got a car that understeers or oversteers, hammers the tyres at either end. And now, Tander 135.1, 0.08 down on Jamie Whincup. In fact, Whincup's second lap then on the same tyre set yielded a 135.2. The development series cars were out a little early on obviously green tyres for their qualifying. They got into the high 34s, but first hit at it, I'd say that the winds picked up more than certainly yesterday, as Daniel suggested, and perhaps even only three-quarters of an hour ago when the development series cars were on the racetrack. And everybody, remember, has set their car around yesterday's conditions. Ooh, a little moment there at the hairpin. One of the two very slow corners on this track, one of them at turn 4 and the other one at turn 8 at Lukey Heights. So Whincup having a little moment just trying to gather it all up there.
Down here at turn 4 for Craig Lowndes, and just taking note of that totem pole that we had up there, which of course we're dropping positions 21.
Okay, Jamie, you're currently P1. How do the tyres feel? Do you think you have a cool down in another run? Or if that's the best out of them, then we'll come in this lap? I think that's the best out of them.
See, there's a bit of puzzle in his voice, and I'll tell you why, because that's way off yesterday's pace. Now, why would you run off down at the turn 4 hairpin? Because you've got a whopping tailwind up the back of the car.
It's amazing how heavy they jump on the brakes at turn 4. Now, what I wanted to point your attention to is position 27th. The car that we're watching, Craig Lowndes, is there on the bottom end of the totem pole in 27th. So 8 minutes remaining in leg 1. He needs to better the time at the top of the pole, 136.6, which belongs to Cam McConville in 20th position. And there goes Lowndes, straight out of that danger zone, straight up into the top 5. That lap was a 135.26. This man has had pole here 3 times. In 98, in 2000 and in 2005. 6 race wins and 2 round wins. Wouldn't you like to have your money on a guy like this coming to the final round? Toll HSV comfortably for Garth Tander. He's 3rd on the list, 135.1. Rick Kelly 10th, 135.4.
Oh, Lowndes off the road. And that's something that he doesn't need, and I think it's in the...
Amble, those will come in. Locking up rears into Honda.
Yeah, it's because the conditions have changed.
P5 at the moment, so you make your way back in smartly, please.
First laps, the first leg of qualifying are down, and they're all having troubles already. The FPR car of Stephen Richards gets around Stephen Owen there, and Richo yet to post a time that counts. Jamie Whincup, championship leader, leads the timesheets. Positions 21 down to 31 will go at the end of this first leg. One of the interesting movers early on has been Mark Scaife from the Holden Racing team. He's celebrating yet another milestone after passing 38 round wins, collecting number 38 at Easter Creek this season. Scaife is celebrating his 200th championship start, and he's actually bearing the number 200 on the side of a brand new car.
It is a brand new car, Matthew. We've both been down and had a bit of a look at a trick bit of gear. It took them 9 days to build, which is an amazing time. 4 blokes at a time having a crack at that for the 9-day period. Brand new car, though. It's got some teething problems. Mark Scaife in that early part of that leg complaining that perhaps the steering wheel does not feel quite straight. The boys are just having a look at that now in pit lane. In terms of the championship, both the Vodafone cars are in. No real changes to Craig's car at the moment, but set to bolt on some new greens to both.
Jason Bush there just looking at data on the left side of that car, and the steering wheel straight's just...
You're slower on your sectors. If you want to bring it in this lap. We are P14 and there's 4 minutes remaining. 4 remaining. Being in this lap.
Little change to the pit lane entry at Phillip Island this year as well, but they'll have made a little front end geometry change on the HRT car overnight. Sometimes when you tweak it, you just end up with a little variation. Richo sliding aggressively, a little variation in the way that the steering wheel points, and drivers are very particular about it. They want the steering wheel, when it's in the neutral position, in the straight ahead position, to be absolutely straight. It's how they sense the direction changes in the car.
Stephen Richards is going berserk here. He's comfortably inside the top 10 in 8th.
So he's got it on its nose here, and a little bit too quick over the top of Lukey, and the thing disconnected from the road, and then you saw the resulting lockup. And you can see the little red dot down there in the box shows that in that second sector he's paid the price. Whincup 35 even, Scaife 35 even, Tander 35-1, Todd Kelly last year's round winner here 35-2.
Enjoyable lap from Stephen Richards. See what it ended up with, 1:35.7, so he didn't beat his time, but boy was he on it. In fact, his best qualifying at the island came back in 2001, the last time he drove a Ford here. Qualified 6th then.
Well, guys, both Rick Kelly and Mark Winterbottom have made adjustments to the rear ends just to try and get the perfect package for here at Phillip Island.
Not so perfect ride for Steve Owen in the Autobahn entry. Hopefully soon he'll get back on the hard stuff. There he goes.
Pretty lucky to not end up making contact with the wall down there. It's very easy to do in that location. The thing about Phillip Island, massive speeds everywhere. When you go off, you really go off here, and you scoot across that gravel or the grass, those earth walls and tyre walls come at you at 1,000 miles an hour. Very unpleasant. Great racetrack. The drivers love it. Often nominated, along with Bathurst, as the location to drive a racing car in this country. Turn 6 there, Hayshed. This is Rick Kelly. Rico's down in 12th at the moment. Long shot for him this weekend in the championship. It's mathematically possible. The reality is that he would need to see all 3 of his championship rivals have massive stumbles in almost every one of the 3 races this weekend.